Welcome to the CEO series. Our guest today is Gautam Ganglani, who's the author of Breaking Bread, his latest book. He's also the CEO of RightSelection Speakers with offices in Dubai and Mumbai, officially in Mumbai as of 2019. For over 20 years, he's worked closely with the world-renowned authors and global thought leaders and has expanded the operation officially to Mumbai in 2019. Deeply passionate about co-creating, collaborating, connecting with people to add value and make a difference in their lives and help transform companies to achieve greater heights of success. So thank you for being a part of the CEO series and welcome.
An absolute pleasure, Ron. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I think the last time we were together was in Mumbai back in February. That seems like an eternity.
Yes, it feels like a different world that time, and it was only just 6 months or so ago.
It was. So let's talk about Breaking Bread. What propelled you to write it? And give us some insights as to how that came about.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Yeah. So having been born and brought up in London, the UK is where I lived for the first 20 years. The term breaking bread was something that we were very familiar with over there. And, to me, it's all about the simple thing is it relates to having a meal, be it breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or even a coffee with another person. That's sort of the foundation. And I've done that throughout my personal and professional life. So it was something that was just a part of my DNA. And, someone once asked me about a year back that if I'd like to speak on the subject of relationships and just wanted to come up with an interesting name that represented building relationships and meaningful relationships. And Breaking Bread sort of came to me. I guess it just felt right. It was a term I used regularly amongst friends. And that's how the title started. And I got to take some inspiration from books like Who Moved My Cheese and Well Done, which was simple parable stories with interesting names, but definitely had, simple but yet profound meanings within those simple stories. And I think I wanted my book to sort of represent that philosophy, that breaking bread of having a meal with another person was a positive energy exchange. And that was the best way to build a meaningful relationship. So that was really the foundation of the idea, Ron.
Wow. So that speech or workshop you did was about that, and that title just kind of morphed into it.
Absolutely. Actually, that was the foundation of that video was transcribed, and that was sort of the first few thousand words that gave me the sort of inspiration that this could be converted into a book. And obviously, I then elaborated it from that speech that I did a year back.
Okay. So today people try and do shortcuts. They may not want to take time to build a relationship. You see it on LinkedIn that you connect to someone and right away they say, this is what I'm selling. Let's partner. Let's do a call. Can you talk to us about the importance of building a relationship with people?
Sure, absolutely. To me, building a relationship, as I saw, Breaking Bread is a journey, not a destination. It is a step-by-step approach. I mean, you could have a conversation. You may connect on social media. You may then connect on a Zoom call in today's world. You then obviously have email exchanges before you even have earned the rapport, the trust, the comfort level to do business. And we've heard it many times that people do business with who they like, trust, and feel comfortable with. When I ask people and they say, I say, what's your USP? And they say, my USP is my product, or my USP is my price. To me, if your product is not of a certain quality and standard, you're not going to be in business very long. If your price is not competitive and appropriate, you're not going to be in business very long. So that's not a competitive edge. Whereas the relationships you have and the meaning you give those relationships, that becomes your USP. And to me, be it LinkedIn or in person, building a relationship is absolutely fundamental for a sustainable, thriving business.
You use the acronym USP. What is blow that out for me. What is USP?
Well, I think people use it, or I use it and said, what's your unique selling proposition? If I say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what is what's the USP of why people should buy from you? Is it your product? Is it your price? What is your USP?
Okay. Okay. I tend to use brand value, but we're all on the same page.
Yes.
What is the so you mentioned in your book the 3-step model, and I know we don't have time to go through all of it. Can you kind of give us an overview of what that 3-step model is about?
Sure, my pleasure. Actually, the 3-step model actually goes into my why. One of my coaches asked me, he said, you're doing great things, but I want to know what's your why? Why do you do what you do? And after asking me several questions, I realized it triggered off the story of me as a teenage kid in the UK. So at the age of 13, the school I went through a very difficult couple of years. I was bullied, teased, humiliated, and sort of my self-esteem because of that was very low, and my self-confidence was also very low. It resulted in my grades also being below average, and I felt completely sort of lost and amiss. I went to my dad and I said, nothing seems to make any sense. I'm confused. I'm lost. Please guide me. He said, I'm going to give you 3 pieces of advice that's going to help you now in this current situation, and it's going to help you with every challenge you come in your life. And he said, rest assured, there are 2 things that are constant, is change and challenges. And COVID currently is just another change and another challenge. Yes, the degree of COVID may be bigger change and challenge than everyone's gone to, but it's just another sort of, that's today and this year. So the 3 pieces of advice he gave me are, firstly, surround yourself with the right people. Secondly, continuously learn. Learn from books, learn from people, learn from articles, learn from experience. And third and most importantly is take action. Take massive action. So to me, in that particular experience, which was my first one where I applied that, I surrounded myself with a different set of people. The people who are uplifting, encouraging, positive. My outlook, and I felt good about myself, my self-esteem, my confidence, my learning. I learned from people, from books, from the teachers, and I took action, and my grades suddenly were above average. And I suddenly just felt a lot happier and more fulfilled. So that's really the 3 sort of strategies or 3 steps my dad shared to me as a teenager. And that has been applied throughout my career in every challenge, be it relational, be it financial. In today's COVID times, to me, it's been phenomenal, the kind of journey I've had this last 5 months, just applying those 3 strategies.
Well, it's amazing. You mentioned continuous learning. Since COVID, I started reading books again, and I just consume books every morning. I walk for a couple hours, and I use Audible books, and I just go from one to the other. So continuous learning is huge, because so many people, when they talk about the struggles of COVID-19, the learning piece is not there. I'm not hearing a constant conversation around that, consistently trying to build yourself into the next version of you. So as CEO of RightSelection Speakers, what are you seeing as the major challenges that's popping up from, and for the people that don't know, RightSelection Speakers has a treasure trove of all the top thinkers in leadership management. As you interact with these people, are you seeing common themes that are coming through?
Common themes. I mean, the challenges are quite, across the board what people are going through. So, I mean, obviously, when you're working virtually, one of the fundamental challenges that people are experiencing is working virtually, because there's, trust and accountability is something that's really cropping up. And they're really expecting everyone to be even more accountable as leaders. Everyone's a leader of their own roles or own positions now more than ever. So I guess that's one of the areas. The comfort level to be speaking virtually, in terms of just like we are here in a live meeting. Not everyone's certainly comfortable with virtual experiences. So I guess those are challenges that people are going through. Working from home, you've got multiple responsibilities without being able to compartmentalize your life. Your personal life and your professional life, especially those of us who are really in strict lockdown and work from home, are having to sort of being able to juggle all of those responsibilities. So those are some of the challenges. From a leader's perspective, a lot of leaders, they've always felt lonely at the top. As we know, we've heard that. We've encouraged leaders to have coaches. they feel even more lonely now than they've ever felt. So
Yeah.
one of the models RightSelection has created is we've created CEO group coaching. We've got a program where we have 6 to 8 CEOs who meet every week with Marshall Goldsmith. So actually they meet fortnightly with Marshall, and then the other week they meet on their own. Now they're on a 4-month journey with the #1 leadership coach in the world. They do not feel alone because they're working with 6 other CEOs, and they're also working independently with Marshall through the next 4 months to know how do they pivot through this difficult time. They've got a lot of tough decisions to make, and some of them are, decisions which can be real transformational, both personally and professionally. And to have a coach as a CEO, I think it's now needed more than ever. These are just some of the highlights.
Yeah.
Personal level, just quickly, they realize the importance of LinkedIn and building your personal brand and understanding sort of the familiarity. They all realize they need to embrace technology now more than ever before. So these are the sort of common things that are coming up amongst many of our clients.
You mentioned coaching, and coaching is kind of coming to its own. It's always been there. Now I think the need is more greater than it, in this climate. What about the -1s below the CEO, or the -1s below that next level? But that comes from self-awareness to say, maybe I need help. Do you think that lots of leaders today are trying to, I don't want to say bluff their way through it, but they feel that they can't let someone know that they're struggling too? Like when you went through yours, your father gave you that unique advice to take it forward. What would be your advice for a leader that's struggling now in managing a virtual workforce, or even trying to manage a team in this environment?
Well, not to repeat myself, but I'd absolutely recommend my dad's advice. And I would say, surround yourself with the right people. First and foremost, whatever your industry is, understand who are the kind of people that you need to stay connected with, whether personally and professionally. Because first and foremost, you need to be in a right state of mind. For me, if I look back at COVID in this time, my first objective was acceptance, which I did very quickly. Once you move to acceptance of this current climate that we're living in, you then move your mindset to what do I do about it? Who do I need to speak to? Who do I need to spend time with? And then what do I need to learn? And then what action do I take? And so to me, in fact, what we've seen in the biggest change in our business model in this time, especially the first 4 months, was people investing in themselves. Companies were still slow to invest because companies have had to, resize, scale down, make dramatic changes, cut losses. Whereas individuals, where the middle, senior, or top management have decided to invest in themselves. We've hosted in collaboration Jim Collins, Marshall Goldsmith, and numerous events in the last 4 or 5 months. And we've seen 90% investment, even by senior leaders of large companies, investing in themselves. Okay. So actually, they're not waiting for the company to invest. They're like, I need to invest in myself. And the reason for this is invest in myself so I become an even more valuable asset to my company. I'm more resilient, I'm mentally stronger, I'm fitter, and make a business. If I happen to lose my job or my career or my business, at least I'm mentally, physically, emotionally fitter for the next career path. So investing in themselves at whatever level has been a top priority by the people who've accepted this new scenario and looking at how they move forward from it.
Okay. So that's internally. What about the executive that may have been displaced, that's trying to get back on track? The 3-step model, in using them to try and re-anchor themselves, would that work?
Yes, again, it works. And I can give a couple of examples. I have, met a couple of very senior professionals who've lost their jobs in this climate. And when I speak to them and they've asked for my, my counsel or my advice or my experience as a friend, and I've shared the same advice. And I told them, one is, you've got to think of yourself, is this an opportunity to look for the next career? Is this an opportunity for you to think of being a solopreneur? What are you passionate about? What do you love doing? Yeah. What do you enjoy doing? And one of the two is already, I told them about the gig economy, which a lot of people have been speaking about. And I said, you are so strong in this particular area. Do you know that every company would love your expertise but can't afford it? Do you realize that you could work for 8 to 10 companies an hour a week, 2 hours a week, and actually be of high value to 8 companies and actually earn 2 to 3 times more? Have you considered that? Now, having been in the career for 20 years, it was not an area that he I said, well, the world has now presented you with that as an opportunity.
Yeah.
So that was a classic example. Now that suddenly this could become a 3x opportunity by doing exactly what he loves with several different organizations and transforming several people and several companies.
Yeah. I think lots of times executives, they're looking to build their careers inside of companies. You mentioned the entrepreneurial route. They never have really given any thought to that. They may have looked at it from the outside and never thought of themselves in that role. How can we help people that are struggling, that to maybe realize that you can do this? Because lots of times when you have these conversations, they give you reason behind reason behind reason behind reason that is not going to work. So my way of having a discussion is you have a clean slate and let's start from there. But I get a sense that there's a little wariness about it. I don't feel comfortable doing that. How can we overcome? I know over a period of time we can't, but how can we overcome that level of resistance of saying, I just need a job for revenue or whatever it is?
Yeah, it's a real dilemma that they're facing, and I can relate to it, and it's not easy. Having said that, again, to me, you need to speak to people you see are successful, and as you look around, you will realize, whether it's through social media, whether it's through conversations with people who you know and trust, and exploring and having conversations with the right people. Again, there will be people who will encourage you, will guide you, will coach you, will mentor you, will collaborate with you, will brainstorm, will ideate with you. You've got to have good quality conversations and with the right people. And to me, that's really going to be your guiding factor, because you need some kind of anchor or some kind of guidance in the right direction or some kind of breakthrough. You're looking for something. And if you don't find that something, then you go back to your default. Let me look at the next job because I need to be able to pay my commitments that I have. So I appreciate it's not an easy one. But again, I go back to looking at every challenge I face as an entrepreneur is I have looked to surround myself with the right people. I've created a speakers mastermind. We meet once a week. I've created a sort of marketing mastermind group. We meet every couple of weeks. I've created several mastermind groups. I've had over 175 conversations in the last 5 months, many with people I know. And I just decided that's my way of breaking bread. People said breaking bread's over a meal. In fact, my book got delayed because of COVID. And I wrote a whole chapter on breaking bread online. I don't want people to say that breaking bread is only a face-to-face meal. No, I've had 170 conversations. I've kept a book and I've logged those conversations. I will admit 60% of those conversations were people in real pain. So all I did was provide an empathetic sort of listening ear and encouragement, but they left the call feeling positive. Technically, that's breaking bread. You left someone more positive than when you started the call. The other 30% were people like me who were looking at what's the opportunity here? What can we do about this? What's working? What's not? What can we try? And we realized one of the biggest revelations is we can innovate with minimum risk, because the financial risks of innovating are a lot lower today than they are when you've got flights and hotels and logistics and costs. I have tried over 20 different ideas in this lockdown, and 10 of them have worked reasonably well. 5 have totally not worked, but cost me little or nothing. And 5 have worked tremendously well. So those are the opportunities. And when you hear stories like this from people like me, I can only hope it inspires you to know that you need to surround yourself with the right people, have quality conversations, believe in yourself, and believe that there is an opportunity in this time of challenge.
So you mentioned mastermind groups. You mentioned, marketing and whatnot. For someone that's listening, can they avail themselves of those services through RightSelection, or is it open, or what's the structure behind it? The mastermind groups.
They can definitely reach out to me through LinkedIn and connect with me, and I'd be happy to explore if there are masterminds that I'm aware of where they're taking on new people. I can encourage them. Otherwise, there's a very dear friend of mine who's currently based in Bali, head office is Singapore, and he actually has a business model of just creating masterminds for people on different themes. So I could refer them to that gentleman there as well. And there are lots of masterminds here. There's actually one of our speakers that actually launched a mastermind on sort of 4 weeks of meeting on a particular pain point, and he gets 10 to 12 people together. So I'd be more than happy to refer them in the right direction to anyone I know who's creating a mastermind or is being part of one, so that they can feel they can surround themselves with people who can sort of explore and ideate with them. I'd be more than happy to do that.
Okay. These mastermind groups, are they recorded, or you have a podcast, or that someone can avail themselves?
Most of them are privately done, in the sense they're small groups of 8 to 12. So,
okay.
So they are recorded for those individuals who are part of it. It's not really a shared recording,
okay.
To my knowledge, the ones I'm aware of. My friend Gil Peterson, who's based out of Bali, he has a lot of experience in this space, and they may be sharing recordings of those. I could always check with them or refer anyone who's interested to find out more. I'd be happy to guide them in the right direction.
Okay. So let's talk about the C-suite, the thinkers.
Sure.
What are some major issues that they're facing? I know, you read articles about leadership. The model of leadership has changed in some ways. What do you see as it relates to competencies for leaders prior to competencies of today? COVID leadership.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, the few CEOs I've spoken to, again, not everyone has been very comfortable with technology. It also depends on the age of the ones who are in their, I guess, 20s, 30s, and maybe 40s are more comfortable with technology. But those in their 50s and perhaps 60s and at very senior positions, technology has been their sort of biggest challenge in needing to firstly become familiar with it. Yeah. And then they're very used to it, especially in India, at least. And I think the Gulf as well. I mean, the two things common about people is that's slightly going off topic, but family and food and connecting with human people in person. I found the CEOs in Europe and the Western world were very comfortable with virtual and the switch, because they've always had certain business models that were virtual. Yeah. And here in India, especially the other extreme, they actually were very much about FaceTime and people and FaceTime. So that's their biggest challenge. Firstly, is that mental block and that sort of discomfort of being alone, and then not even being able to have FaceTime with your senior team that you're used to having. And that's been their biggest challenge. So that's something I mentioned, is technology. And then working virtually, which is hand in hand.
Yeah. Your book, Breaking Bread, what kind of feedback are you getting from the market? Because it's such a unique way of looking at it, not really tied to a meal or coffee, but it's probably something that people have never really given thought to. What kind of feedback are you getting from it?
Thanks for asking. I mean, people have said, the feedback I've had from people has been, it's simple but profound. It makes me think of abundance. It makes me think of collaboration. It makes me, obviously we've sort of felt some of our business models were transactional, or, and operating from a space of scarcity. This sort of made me realize I need to have an abundance mindset, a collaborative mindset. I've got to think of really being more patient and realizing that one of the persons said, we spend more than 70% of our lives at work. And I was so busy just working and earning money. And I realized money may come and go in life. That's part of every business cycle. But when it comes to breaking bread, this is about having a relationship-driven business. So a lot of them really appreciated the simplicity, but yes, the depth of the meaning of how you can create a business. I mean, we ourselves haven't had a sales team member in our business in 27 years. We've never had anybody in sales in our business in 27 years.
Really?
Not even, never had a telesales, never called someone we don't know. It's all been built on relationship marketing.
Yeah.
What I say, educate, engage, and inspire people to come to you. People prefer to buy than be sold to. We've heard that as well in the past. So in general, in simple terms, people really appreciated the concept of the learnings that come out of the book and sort of how they can make some changes in their life to sort of slow down, build relationships, and really build meaningful relationships. And that's sustainable. It's not transactional as well.
Yeah. You mentioned mindsets, growth mindset, fixed mindset. We've been kind of straddling that fence. on our conversation to this point. Would you say that a lot of leaders at one time were probably in that fixed mindset and transitioning to a more open and a growth mindset?
Yeah, I think those who didn't know the meaning of or the value of relationships to some extent realized that, to grow, we need to collaborate. My dad used to tell me, we must divide to multiply. And
Okay.
and to me, those companies are realizing that today is another great opportunity to collaborate, to be able to grow. And so I think synergy, collaboration, co-creation, just as a word, and in conversations with people, they're using the words, what can we co-create together? Normally it's like, what can we innovate? What can we create? What can new we can do? Now people are using, what can we co-create? Realizing it's like many ideas come together is far more valuable. So co-creation and collaboration have been omnipresent amongst many conversations.
Collaboration. So the mastermind group is a collaborative effort that people are getting through, and they feel a level of trust in that team, and they feel that they can share over a period of time. How long have those groups been running, and can you give us some kind of insights that have come out of those groups or case studies as to how someone was able to transition beyond that and move back into, I don't want to say normal, but whatever it is that they were seeking?
Could you clarify the question? Sorry, Ron.
So the groups that you've had, collaborative groups for marketing or whatever it is, can you give us some insights as to how someone that was a part of that group has transitioned out to another level of success, or some successes that have come out from those masterminds?
Absolutely. I'll use the marketing sort of group, because that's one of my favorite areas, and I see great synergy in marketing. And I think that's one of the key, that every business needs a marketing function as opposed to needing a sales function. So in my marketing mastermind, we'd have one team member, one entrepreneur who's fantastic at creating videos. We had another team member who was fantastic at content writing. You'd have someone who was really good at social media, someone good at designing, myself. So when we came together, we suddenly realized that when we started sharing some of our, first and understanding was about sharing, building the trust, the comfort level. Once that was established and sharing that, then we started sharing the kind of clients we're working with. And we realized that every client needed our service, and they also asked us about the other services. And we either didn't know, or we'd refer someone we didn't know, or it was a very casual reply. And now there actually some meetings have taken place where 2, 3, or 4 people out of the 6 people in the group have gone for a meeting together, or been of a Zoom call where 4 of us. So there was one who was already a client-customer relationship or a client-vendor relationship. The other 3 were on the call, and the client already had a trust with person 1. The other 3 presented. There was trust, and they had trust with person 1 and realized they're referring them. And that was co-creation, collaboration right there. And suddenly business was happening purely on referral, but within the group itself, and actually added tremendous value. And it's happened real time. Yeah.
That's amazing. And today you like to hear stories like that people are taking the challenges they're facing, and they're, I've always said that you have basically a clean slate, and to work in a collaborative group and to build something beyond that. That is absolutely amazing. So for someone that's struggling in their career and they're trying to get back on track, I know we talked about mastermind groups. If I'm not able to join a mastermind group, what other key points could you possibly point us to give us some food for thought?
Well, if you can't join mastermind groups, RightSelection, or there are many sort of programs. First and foremost, it's on a clean slate. You mentioned it earlier. My idea is that on a clean slate, what's working for you, what's not, what would you like to achieve, and what are your interests? That's first and foremost very, very important. So once you've established what you'd like to do, I think there are lots of programs online. I'll give you some examples that, many CEOs have realized that they want to realize the importance of personal branding. So, they attend a program on personal branding, and then, they learn that, they attend that program and then attend and have a coach in the personal branding and realize this is a time to build their personal brand. Someone realized they had a LinkedIn account, but they weren't very active and didn't realize how powerful LinkedIn is. So I would again go back to what you need to upskill in yourself so that you're, stronger and more familiar in a particular subject area. And that's really what I'd say is attend programs that are relevant to you, not just any program. There's so many. So choose the subjects that you want to either improve in or you want to learn. Attend those programs. You will then, one of the best things I found, and I've attended 7 or 8 of these programs, is a lot of our events have breakouts. You've seen Zoom has breakout rooms.
Yeah, breakout rooms, yeah.
Even for Jim Collins, imagine with 1,400 people in June, they had breakout rooms halfway through the conference for 30 minutes. I was part of a breakout room with 20 people. I've connected to 12 of those people on LinkedIn. I've had 3 Zoom calls, and one of them has got a proposal of a collaboration. I'm attending an event with Jim Collins. Most people attend an event, whether online or offline, just to go to the event, learn, and come away. They've missed the biggest opportunity. They've missed out on breaking bread. Breaking bread, whether it's coffee breaks or it's tea breaks or it's lunch breaks or a table you're sitting at, there's an opportunity to connect with other people and have a conversation. Yeah. And that's what happened in the Jim Collins breakout. And everyone shared LinkedIn Connects. And then we had Zoom calls. And that's another example, is that if you attend an event which is branding or LinkedIn or whatever your area of interest is, you will have a breakout room more than likely in a lot of these sessions. Meet people, connect with them, send them a message, turn that into a Zoom call. And that can be like your own mini version of a mastermind where you're having conversations with other professionals who have the same interests as you. You're bound to make, as a minimum, another professional friend who has common interests. And that's a great place to start.
Yeah. Well, that ties back into your father saying the advice that he gave you, divide to multiply. So that was a great segue back into that quote. So in closing our conversation today, what would you like for people to take away from this session? If you can kind of give us kind of a 2 to 3 minute kind of takeaways, a guidance for everyone, whether you're gainfully employed, whether you're not employed, or whether you're in the middle someplace or worrying about which way it's going to go.
Well, thanks, Ron. I mean, for me, I would say whether you're a professional, whether you're working for a corporate organization, you're an SME business owner, wherever you are in your life, challenges present opportunities. First and foremost is accept what you cannot change and focus on what you can. The moment you've taken that decision, and I look back at myself, the moment you've taken the decision to accept what you cannot change, you focus every ounce of your mindset, every ounce of your energy towards what are the possibilities? What can I do with this time? What can I learn? In the current scenarios, there are abundant opportunities out there. You have to be open to receive them. And so when you surround yourself with the right people, have great conversations, learn what you can learn, and take action. With action, you will learn something or you will succeed. That's the only option. You will either learn or you will succeed. So I can only encourage you to implement these 3 sort of disciplines and steps that my dad has shared and enjoy the journey. And I can rest assured that you're enjoying the journey, that it will work out one way or the other in you finding your next journey or your next career path. And that's what I can encourage you to do.
Okay, cool. Quick question. You mentioned your dad again. What was your dad's thought when you talked about that you were going to write a book around breaking bread and that 3-step model, that you're bringing it to life? What was his reaction to that?
He was touched personally that I was putting my sort of childhood story and that learning, which I've always been abundantly grateful to him, and putting it into words and then sharing it. So he was touched on a personal level. And at the same time, he said he's just, as a son and a father and son, we're both authors now. So he was excited to know that, Gautam, finally, you've been representing, he said, you've been representing so many authors and speakers. It's about time you wrote your own book and share your experiences, your learnings, your vulnerabilities. By you sharing, it helps you to give back, contribute, and create your own legacy for yourself. So those are some of the words that my dad shared when he heard I was writing my book.
That's amazing. Gautam, thank you so much for being a part of the CEO series. And We will be in touch. This is live now on Facebook, and it will be edited, and it will go out again across social media, LinkedIn, our YouTube channel, as well as RightSelection speakers. And if you get an opportunity, pick up the book, Breaking Bread, and support our guests. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ron. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.